Welcome back to the Bad Lions podcast, here live in the Lion's Den of the Fab Lab. My good buddy Mike here has been on the podcast a number of times. We've got Bruce here as well. And so we just kind of wanted to how the Fab Lab came to be. And you see these shops, whether it's on Instagram or you're looking on the forum and you see, oh, this guy's got a fab shop and it's not all puppies and rainbows, and there's a lot more that meets the eye, I guess you could say.
Sometimes.
And so I guess to start it off, just how did you get into off-roading? Like how did that?
My dad has had a sand rail since before I was born. I remember some of my very small young childhood memories are memories in the sand dunes, whether it be Pismo, Glamis, or Dumont. And it's always, the buggy's always been there. He still owns it to this day. He doesn't use it much. We took it out last year a little bit, just ripping it around. It's just an old school, Volkswagen rail. But yeah, it was my everything. It's what we did. It's what we did as family vacations. We probably went out every year for 6 to 8 weeks of the year. We would be out, sometimes out there for 2 weeks at a time when my dad had time off, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. So from a young age, you're like going out to the dunes and ripping around, and so it was kind of like, this is cool.
Yeah, it was cool. I remember I was 5 or 4 when I learned how to ride a bicycle, and I can remember basically as soon as I learned how to ride a bike, my dad went out and bought me a dirt bike, a little Suzuki JR50, and we had big enough property that I could ride my dirt bike on our property, and I would ride that thing every single day. I think I started riding it when I was 5.
Wow. Okay.
And I would ride it every single day. He made me a little track in the backyard. I mean, that's where as a kid, you're like, oh, I can build a jump, and it starts with a small piece of plywood, like a cinder block, and you eventually you start going so fast that you break the piece of plywood and you run into the cinder block and fly over the handlebars, and you're like, okay, I gotta learn how to make a better jump. And yeah, it all kind of what do you call it, the thrill of all that. Like, it all started basically when you can start like doing stuff for yourself.
Sure.
Riding your own motorcycle and stuff like that.
So dirt biking, like, I know you're BMX, be a big BMX guy growing up, skateboarding.
Anything where you can huck yourself off of anything.
Yeah.
I was into it.
Yeah, you were telling me when we were just eating dinner, you were talking about you're at school, the GT ramp demo came to the school.
I was in 5th grade, and I remember the GT flight school, or whatever they called themselves, the little traveling GT freestyle school.
Like the GT bikes.
Yeah, they came out, they brought 2 quarter pipes and a fly box.
Some Mach 1s.
And they all had the GTs with the cool open face, like half shell helmets and everything with the visor. And they all had the matching jerseys, and they were just ripping around, doing airs off the quarter pipes and doing tricks off the fly boxes. And then there was like a flatland guy out there just doing all kinds of cool flatland tricks. And I just remember prior to all that, I didn't even know any of that stuff was even possible. And now I'm seeing it in real life, and it was just a trip. It was so cool. So I go home immediately that day, and I'm like, my dad, I want to put pegs on my bicycle. And he's like, okay. So he took me to the local, bicycle shop, and there was pegs there. And I think they were like $22 a set. And of course, I wanted 4 because I wanted to learn how to do all like the flatland tricks and stuff. And he was like, that's too much money, to spend for 4 pieces of metal. He's like, we can make those, or you can make those. He told me, he's like, you can make them. So I remember like that weekend, we had some galvanized pipe and some like zinc washers, and he showed me how to use the chop saw. So I cut the pegs way too long. I think they were like 12-inch long each. I didn't know how long to make them. So I took these pieces, and he got the welder all set up for me. And I remember welding all the washers on the ends of the pipe, and obviously later I ended up, chopping them down to like a more normal size. I think they ended up being like 6, 7 inches long. But anyway, that was it. That was the first thing I ever built. And that was cool. I was like, oh, it's cool to be able to make your own stuff. So obviously I never became a professional flatlander like I wanted to be, or professional BMX rider or any of that kind of stuff. But after that, I realized I could modify bicycles because I built some pegs. So I remember just basically riding my bicycle around and trying to find old junked bicycles that people were discarding or willing to give away. I remember asking people who seen bikes in like the front yard, like, oh, you guys want those still? And I would take a beach cruiser and you put like a small wheel on the front, like a 12 or 16-inch wheel in the front. Thought that was cool. Or you take a small bike and put a big fork with a big wheel on the front. You're just building all these like weird custom bicycles at my dad's house, or when I was a kid, we had a little pool shed that nobody used. It was just for like storage. I remember going in there, I like set up some lights, I like cleaned it all out, and I had a little like bike shop set up on the property. It was really, really cool. And I'm sure my parents were like, what the hell is this guy doing? Yeah, but I loved it. Of course, I wanted to. I remember getting a magazine when I was a kid, and I was looking through them, and you could put the steering wheel on there. Oh man, I had the banana seat. I wanted all that stuff, but it was so expensive. It was like $200 for one of those bikes. I couldn't afford it. Yeah,
so that was kind of how you the pegs were kind of how you got your first.
For sure. After that I realized you could modify everything, and I would take stuff apart. I remember my mom had an old Gateway 2000 computer that they weren't using anymore. Like she got like a more modernized one. I remember I took the whole thing apart. Every screw, I took all the memory out, the hard drives, I took everything. I didn't know how to put it back together. It never went back together, but I took it all apart. My mom was upset, obviously, at the time. She's like, why did you take this apart? And I was like, I just wanted to know how it worked,
Yeah.
So I probably, as a kid, as a small kid, I probably ruined a lot of stuff. Just trying to know, wanting to know why everything worked and how it worked.
Yeah, that's funny. And so, at a point, so you're turning 16, or like at what point were you like, hey, like obviously you grew up with off road and the dune buggy.
Yeah, the buggies, quads. My dad and mom always had like matching Banshees, and I remember when I was old enough to know how to do the clutch. So I think I was probably 6 or 7. My dad would put it in second gear for me, and I would just give it some gas and let the clutch out, and I would just rip around the campsite basically until I ran out of gas. So I'd be out there for hours just going around and around and around, and then obviously as you progress, you learn you like go up the side of the sand dunes and stuff a little bit. And then I remember one time we were in Pismo, and we just happened to be like right next to a little shelf, and I remember like jumping it. I think we got it on like VHS. I can't even reach the pegs. I'm just sitting on the seat, and I'm just jumping my dad's, Banshee.
It was actually pretty plush back in the day.
Yeah. It was
and the softest, squishiest seats.
But I remember by the end of the week, your legs were all chapped up on the inside of your legs.
Your quads like almost had like a dirt bike feel.
Sure.
Like Banshee's just like you're sitting on a box saddle.
And when you're not that,
dude.
I'm not a big guy now. I was tiny as a kid.
So as far as like how you got into the desert trucks, I mean, assuming you're just kind of around the off road.
So it started with the buggy. I was working my second job ever. I was working at the Simi Valley Recycling Center, and a guy came in to like recycle an old buggy frame, and it was a similar buggy to like what my dad had, but it was crushed. Like the top of it got smashed in at one point or whatever, and I asked my boss if I can have it. He's like, yeah, sure, take it. So I took it home, started cutting it all apart, and started modifying it. I spent probably 4 or 5 months on the weekends and at night, like working on this thing, only to get to the point where I realized that the whole chassis was like twisted up pretty good, and it was like not worth saving. But it was okay. I learned how to like cut tubes and notch tubes. I bought a Harbor Freight pipe bender back in the day, and you just kinked the crap out of the tube because I didn't know that it was for pipe, and I'm trying to build stuff out of tubing. But it's okay. I learned how to like bend tubing. At that time, you just like bend it a little bit, move it, bend it a little bit, move it, because you could actually do like a continuous bend. It would just crush the tube. And I learned how to like weld better at that point. You know, I wasn't just filling gaps. I was like notching the tube with an angle grinder to fit, and it was a lot of fun. I learned a lot.
Sure. But so like desert truck wise though, like what sparked the interest?
So I was probably 15. My parents would obviously drive me to and from my job on the weekends. I remember wanting a truck. I really, really wanted a 5-lug Toyota because a pickup truck. Because when I was younger, my best friend at the time's mom's boyfriend had a pre-runner truck, the first pre-runner truck I've ever seen in real life. It was a 5-lug Toyota with Ivan Dan front fenders, had a Fab long travel front end. He had a bed cage with like 2.0 Fox reservoir shocks, and he had like some 2.0 Fox reservoir shocks in the front where they were like way too long, obviously, but they poked through the hood. And I just thought that was like the coolest thing ever. I didn't know you could have shocks like sticking through the hood.
Yeah.
It just was like, oh, I want that. I want something just like that. So at the time, this was in the early 2000s, so those trucks were pretty expensive still, like a 90s Toyota pickup truck. And I was going to graduate high school in a few years, so I was like, I kept telling my dad, I want a truck, I want a Toyota. And he did the smart thing and bought me a 2-door Civic coupe instead, which I was so disappointed about it because it was good, but I was so disappointed because I really wanted a truck, but probably didn't need to be, romping around in a truck for my first vehicle. And the cool part was my dad bought it for me and made me pay back like $5,000 of it. The car was a pretty nice car back then, so it was probably like an $8,000-9,000 car. But that really taught me the value of a dollar. I was already working at that point and stuff, but it was like, okay, every month I have to give my dad, I think I was giving him like $500 a month to try to get the car paid off. But as soon as I paid that car, the month I paid that car off, I posted it for sale, I sold it, and I bought a 93 Ford Ranger with 60,000 miles on it. Such a cherry truck, 4-liter 5-speed, 2-wheel drive. And I was like, this is it, I'm gonna build a pre-runner.
Yeah. And so you're like, I'm gonna build this, and then at what point, so you and I, Mikey and I, we met off of Desert Ranger. So how did you find out, like you were just like, saw this Toyota, you're like, that's cool, and then you're dude that's on the internet, you're like, oh, this is a website for
That's
for
exactly
Rangers?
what it was. I think I was in high school and I was like, man, there's gotta be like a website, because this is in the late 2000s or early 2000s, like there's gotta be a website that has dedicated to like trucks, like off-road trucks. And I originally found Desert Rides, and that was like predominantly buggies, but there's obviously truck stuff on there too. And then somebody posted a link to Race Desert and Desert Rangers, and I was a member of those forums long before I had my Ranger, basically just looking at pictures because I didn't know anything.
Sure. So yeah, it's just funny how it's like you found a forum, and then like I look at how like all of our friendship, like all of our buddies' friendships is like spiderweb off of that, and it's cool. Like we were talking about it, it's just so cool to have these websites that you can go on and see like, oh, this is what this guy's doing, and learn about it, and you're looking at pictures something you know nothing about, but you want to learn about it, and it's like such a great resource.
Yeah, and I remember being on there, as you probably remember, it's like everybody was in Orange County or San Diego.
Mm-hmm.
There's nobody in Ventura County that did any of this stuff. But then as you're like on there more, you're noticing there's like, oh, there's this guy DW Photo or Max Yetter. These guys are in Thousand Oaks. Like that's not that far from me. But at the time, I took my perfectly good Super Cherry truck. The only vehicle.
It was a Splash.
It was a Splash. The only vehicle that I owned. I tore it apart in my dad's backyard. Took the bed off, like cut the whole thing up, and I'm gonna build this truck. I had no means of transportation. So my dad, being the Volkswagen rail guy that he was, he had another Volkswagen that was in the backyard that was like not running. It never ran from what I can remember. I don't know why he bought it for parts or whatever. It was real bad. It was real rusty and stuff like that. But I needed a way to get around. So I remember like pulling the carburetor off. I cleaned the carburetor. I got the thing running off of like a jerry can. I took the gas tank out. I put rocks in there and like shook them around. This is all stuff that like I didn't read on Race Desert or Desert Ranger. This is like my dad's telling me. He's like, this is how you clean a gas tank. I'm in the backyard with water and old fuel and rocks, and I'm cleaning the gas tank out, and I replaced all the brake lines and bled the brakes. And so now I had like another vehicle to drive around. It was very unreliable, but I ended up driving that thing all over the place to pick up parts. San Diego, Orange County.
This is like a Volkswagen.
This is a 74 Volkswagen. Yeah. It was a 1600 dual part, thankfully. So I mean, 36 horsepower, and I could go 60, 65 miles an hour on the freeway.
Yeah. And so you got your heart set on building this Ranger,
I'm
1450 race truck.
Yeah, I'm in it. We're at holes. The dash is gutted. I got holes through the firewall. Like it's on.
Yeah, and then so you're working at the recycling center at that point still?
No, so when by the time I got my car, by the time I graduated high school, the same owner of the recycling center has a wine shop, and I wasn't working there anymore. I was actually working a different job, and a buddy of mine who I used to work with at the recycling center was still working for Wade. And he called me and he's like, "Hey, I'm leaving this position. It's an online sales position." And I'm like, "Okay, I don't know anything about wine or online." He's like, "It's fine." He's like, "It's mostly you're going to be running and managing the online store and all the computers and stuff." And at this time, I'm graduating high school. I'm already enrolled in the community college here. I'm in there for Cisco networking. I love working on computer stuff. It's the same thing with trucks. It's like you can get in there and build computers, and then obviously once you build the computer, you need to like put an operating system on it, hook it up to the internet. So it was all pretty savvy with all that stuff. So I worked at Wade's for way too long, for over 10 years, and basically helped them build the database, the website. I did all the computer stuff there, all the networking stuff there. It was a great job while I was learning how to build stuff at night on the weekends. For myself.
And then so while you're building the Ranger, you're meeting people off of the forum.
Yes. I'm actually contributing to the forum at this point. I'm talking to people. First person I met on the forum that I can remember would have been Scott.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I remember I was at the GFO shop down in Camarillo, working on my Rover, putting on some 2.0 Fox shocks in the rear, like basically just turning this thing into a complete race truck. And I remember you cruised up, and I think you were picking up something.
Sure. I think I had to take my dad's truck.
Yeah.
Because it was like something big, and it wouldn't fit in the bug.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's how Mikey and I met, and then from there, I think I was on DR too, and we started talking, and then we planned a trip. We planned a Mojave Road trip.
No, but first we went to the cleanup.
Oh yeah,
which would have been the second annual cleanup, right?
Yeah, and then we're talking like 2007.
Yeah.
No.
Maybe 8.
No. I think this was like 2006 was right in there, and so after the cleanup, and I have photos of that trip because I remember we found that Mustang.
Yeah.
And you're wearing this like Gilligan hat, like sitting in the driver's seat. I'll post photo. And anyway, so from there, we I wouldn't say we were like good friends at that point. We were kind of just acquaintances, but we have the common interest of the trucks, and so we planned the Mojave Road trip. And you had met Scott because you like did some fab work for him. And then we knew the Mojave Road.
Yeah, I invited Scott, which I think you were cool with, and then I ended up riding with Scott.
Yeah.
It was a great time. At this point, Scott had his first truck, and it was mostly made out of wood.
And a wood bumper.
It had a wood bumper.
Yeah.
The whole inside, like, so whoever owned it before Scott was an avid woodworker.
Yeah.
All the trim, the knobs, everything in the truck was wood.
Chipmunks, dude.
Dude.
Yeah.
Homemade. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Like all wall. I don't know if it was wall. It was just beautiful.
Speaking my language.
I know. It was. You would have loved it.
That's sick.
You would have been like, why did someone spend this much time making all of this stuff out of wood?
Yeah.
But it was cool.
But so we do that trip. You and I started doing trips, and you're getting burnt on the working at Wade's. You're racing trucks, or the race truck isn't even done yet.
No.
And you're doing like side projects for people to help fund the race.
Yeah, and which was good because my fab skills still weren't great, and I needed more stuff. You know, it's like building a truck is great. You learn a lot, but it's like you kind of there's sometimes where you're like you're getting to a point where you're like, okay, now I need to do a bunch of wiring or whatever. It's like, well, my fab skills are still pretty bad, and people wanted just little things built, like a light bar. On Scott's truck, I helped him build like a lot of the truck eventually, but back then it was like I helped him make like tires fit and stuff like that. So that was like a lot of fun. You know? And the money was nice because it helped me fund the racetrack.
Finish building the truck, and then so finally finished the truck. You took it out a few times.
Yeah, took it out for the night race, 2009, I think. You were out there in the Rover.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then Battle of the Prim.
Yeah, we raced.
That was like the first main race.
That was the first race that I remember. 2010, I think.
What ended up happening? So it was like
I got DQ'd.
What was that about?
So I didn't know this because I've never been there and no one ever said anything. There wasn't any signage. The truck wasn't running right. The truck never ran right when I owned it. It was actually ended up being a mass airflow sensor that I thought was bad and replaced with like an auto parts store mass airflow sensor, which was bad out of the box. And it never ran right. So anyway, I'm like trying to get the truck to run right. I'm like checking fuel pressure. And I do a little like just rip down the frontage road anyway, freaking Prim, Nevada, Ranger pulls me over and he's like, you can't race, you're disqualified, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, I'm sorry, I didn't know.
Yeah.
And it was like, it's too late kind of a thing. And I was like, okay, that's cool. So all we did was we just went to the race officials and I was like, hey, I just want to let you know, I got in trouble. I didn't know. And they were super cool. They're like, oh yeah, we probably should have said something in the driver meeting or whatever, like our bad. And I was like, well, can I still race? And like, yeah, but you got to change. You got to like just disguise the truck. You have to change the.
And you had like a complete wrap.
Yeah. Bat Sugar and I rewrapped we did like a half wrap on it. So for a couple nights, like making that thing look like a racetrack, which is cool. And so then we went to like PCI and a couple different places, and they gave us like rolls of stickers. So we just stickered the whole truck over the wrap. It's fine, it all came off later. But like we disguised it, we changed the number.
Yeah.
I raced this 1404 for that race.
Yeah. That's funny.
And it was
And
great.
I remember you finished the race, Max had to cut off his hair. He had like super long hair.
Long hair, like down to his shoulder
We cut
blades.
the ponytail off in the room.
Mhm.
It was there too. It was disgusting. There's just hair everywhere. But so then the night race.
Yeah. So fast forward to the night race. This was like 6 months later. That was the big night race accident where all the people, got injured and people died, unfortunately. And after that, I didn't have like a desire to want to race anymore. I loved going out. I loved everything about it, but like the racing thing for me at that time was like, it just wasn't worth it. I didn't want to, like, what if that was me? That's the first thing I thought of, like, after that whole accident happened.
Sure.
I'm over it. Plus we were starting to do like the DMC style trips, point-to-point trips. I did a point-to-point trip in the Ranger one time. We were out in Ridgecrest, and I think everybody got stuck in the sand.
Mm-hmm.
There was a leaky water tower that nobody noticed, and it made the ground so soft that everybody, like, there's like 5 of us, all of us got stuck, including Scott, got stuck. But luckily, Scott's such a slow driver. Sorry, Scott, that he didn't get stuck that bad that we were able to put it in 4-wheel drive and get him unstuck, and then from there he was like slowly able to pull us all out. That was fun. Yeah. That took all day to get like 5 trucks unstuck.
Oh, God.
Matt Sugar was buried to the frame.
Yeah, he just kept pinning.
Yeah. Well, we were yelling on the radio to go, like, it's soft, go, and he went,
Yeah.
so stuck.
But yeah, so after the night race, you're just like, dude, I don't want to race.
Yeah, and another forum member was like, interested in the truck. He had a little buggy, which I thought that I would like. Well, two reasons. One, I thought the buggy would be fun because it had a pretty hot little Volkswagen motor in it. It was a pretty light little car, so I was like, oh, this thing's gonna be faster than my truck, which is cool. And the footprint was so much smaller that I could like work in the garage doing these random side jobs and stuff a lot easier with the buggy still in the garage.
Sure.
So
Got it.
I think I took the buggy out like twice.
So you sold it or you traded it for the Mini 12 T-Morph.
Teamwork.
And then at like some point soon after you got your Bronco.
Yeah, because I needed something to tow the buggy with. A good buddy of ours at the time, he passed away, and he was the guy that used to help us get out to the races and stuff. So I was like, okay, he's gone. I need like something of my own. I had this little little single cab.
The Gold Ranger.
I had the little single cab 4-cylinder Ranger that was perfect for point to point trips. So stupidly, I sold that and got the Bronco. And I don't know if anyone's ever tried to tow with the Bronco. They're not the best towing vehicles ever. But
Bronco for a tow.
yeah, but another cleanup was coming up, and I thought to myself, the Bronco's not ready to tow, but I can take the Bronco out and go like play with the Bronco. It had some coilovers that were way too long and mounted super poorly in the front, no bump stops, and then the rear was completely stock. So quickly I threw some National leaf springs on there and mounted some shocks under the bed that I had. And I took the Bronco out to the cleanup, and I had so much fun in the Bronco that I'm like, I'm selling the buggy. The buggy's stupid. I'm going to build the Bronco.
Yeah.
So
That would have been spring over.
that would have been, like circa 2011.
Spring over.
Yeah. And it was so great. I slept in it. I hauled trash in it. It was like, this thing's the best. I can do everything in it,
Yeah. And so once you got the Bronco, then the DMC trips all kind of kicked up.
Sure.
We had a podcast, we talked about all that, but the Bronco that thing has gone, from a super mild build
Oh, yeah.
to
I mean,
now it's
from
now it's an absolute monster.
from something that probably most people would have thrown away, discarded, to what it is now.
Yeah.
For sure. And it's many renditions to get to where it is now.
Sure.
It's had many motors, many transmissions, many roll cages, front suspensions, rear suspensions, axles, you name it. I've swapped it out at least 2 or 3 times.
Sure. It's something that we kind of skipped over. So back, I remember when you were building the Ranger, I cruised over to your parents' house, Ranger's in the garage, and I think this was like 2013-ish. And
No, Ranger's gone by then. 2013? Oh yeah, Ranger's gone 2010. 2011.
Okay, yeah, you're right. Maybe like 09.
Sure.
So I'm looking at your garage, and I see this mountain bike hanging up.
Oh yeah,
And of course, dude, what's going on with that bike? You're like, oh, it's my old bike, or I don't even know if it was your old bike at that point.
No, it wasn't my bike. That was my bike.
So basically, you're the reason that I got like deep into this mountain biking thing.
Absolutely.
So I remember, I think you sold it to me for like $200 or $300, and you got the Rocky Mountain, the blue one.
The baby blue.
Yeah, the baby blue one. And then so we got deep into the mountain biking, like throughout all this, and I rode that thing for like we were doing like runs up to Summit, like super long stem.
Yeah, 100 mil stems, 80 mil.
We go up to Summit and we're on like what's now 10 climb. It was just like, I think it was like the downhill push or something.
There was no.
And there was like this tree. I remember it was like ride up the tree and over, and we're just like, oh my god, like I don't know how you're gonna ride. This dude on a full downhill bike like pulls up and just like looks at our bikes. And he's like, "You guys are riding these bikes?" And I'm like, "Yeah, this is my bike. Like, what are you talking about?" But I was gonna say, so you had your. I guess I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself, but so you're working for the wine store. You're like, dude, I gotta figure something else out Tommy needed some help at a shop, and you were already helping him at a shop on like.
Yeah, so how all that worked out was this was before Tommy moved to Simi Valley from Santa Maria. I went up to Tommy's house again on the forum, talking on the forum. He had a Ranger that he bought back. He built for a customer built the motor, he bought it back from the customer. Not bought it back. He bought it from the customer after he built the motor, and he's like, hey, I got a motor for this Ranger, can you like come down, just give me like a hand putting it in, and so I can like post it up for sale. And I was like, yeah, absolutely. So I drove down to Santa Maria, I helped him put the motor in, and then in exchange, he was gonna come back another weekend and help me work on the Bronco. So that was pretty cool. And then why all that worked out great for Tommy was this was like the beginning of internet dating. I don't know if it was like Plenty of Fish or whatever. He met this girl on, but he met this girl from Simi, and he was going to go on a date with her. But while he was there at the house talking about how he was going to go on a date with her, I was living with another really good friend of mine, Jesse, and his girlfriend at the time, Melissa, who's now his wife, and another roommate. Her name is Carrie. She's like a family friend. Tommy was talking to the four of us about how he's going to go on this date with this girl that lives up in the bridle path. She's this horse girl, blah, 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 blah. And you could kind of tell Carrie was like, she liked Tommy. She's a horse girl. You could tell Carrie liked Tommy, and she was kind of getting a little bit jealous. And I think Tommy realized that. So he went on the date. It was a nothing date. Like, it didn't go anywhere. He's like, never going to see her again. But he didn't tell Carrie that. He came back and he's like, oh, it went great. I'll probably see her again. And then you could tell, like, later that night or whatever, they were like flirting and whatever. So anyway, long story short, Tommy ends up moving to Simi Valley. Not necessarily for Carrie, but like he moved to Simi because he wanted to just, change up his life a little bit. But they ended up dating for like over a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so he moved here and he moved to shop here.
Yeah. He had a little just a hobby shop. I think he was doing, Tommy's been building stuff for people since before I even knew what Desert Rangers was or even the internet forum. So he's been doing it for
Poly for a while, right?
yeah. At this point he was working for Paul.
Yeah, when he moved here, he worked for Poly.
Right.
And he's like building farm.
But he worked at the barbecue place. What's that?
Welding.
He did all the agricultural stuff in school, which is welding and like wire diagnostics and all the like this cool stuff. And he was always really, really good at the hands-on stuff, as we all know, obviously. And so he moved to Simi like shortly after all that because he wanted to pursue that relationship and move a shop down here. He was working for Poly Performance Remote, like he's doing now. Once he moved down here and he got a shop, he had a lift, he had an enclosed shop, like we were working in like the backyard or a front yard, like I always done my whole life. I never worked in like a garage except for like just building little trinket stuff here and there. So that was pretty cool. So I'd come and help him a couple nights a week and like every weekend, just get stuff done. He'd help me, I'd help him. It was cool.
Yeah, so you were helping him, and then, as I kind of said earlier, you're like not digging the wine store.
It's just over it, yeah. I've been working there a long time, ready for something different.
And so you were just like, you know what, I'm gonna come help Tommy full time.
So Tommy came to me and he's like, hey, I want to like make TT Motorsports like a thing. Would you work for me? And he offered me some like an hourly wage that was very reasonable to what I was making over a ways. And I like in my head, I'm like, how can I pass this up? It just makes all the sense.
Sure.
I don't like what I'm doing, for a living now. Like, let's change it up. So yeah.
So then he was in the same complex you're in now, but in a different unit.
When he blew up, when he wanted TT Motorsports to be a thing, and I started working for him, we actually had a shop like an eighth of a mile.
But he had a shop here before. When he just had moved, and that's how.
That's how I met. That's how I met.
Tommy moved down, and I remember he moved down to the 255 units in the same complex as my dad's shop and my shop and stuff like that. And Tommy actually had two different shops over there. He had the
Yeah, he was in E. He was in your dad's mechanic shop
I
now,
remember,
and then H.
yeah, I remember seeing these crazy, like, Tommy, I remember the F100 was out there. Like, it's a half hill, but you can tell the back half is crazy. It was a sick truck, and then I noticed Mikey's Bronco, and the fenders are cut out, and I was like, these are some sick trucks, and then I was pretty timid then. I didn't really like just walk over and say,
No, your brother is who just
Tyler, my brother, who's a big car guy, started talking to him, and I finally started making my way over there. I mean, this is probably going on for a year or two. You know, you guys are slinging jacks.
Yeah, we were doing
that for
the jack. We
you
did the Husky jacks,
with Tommy for a
the
couple
Escalades. We're doing a lot of Escalades back then. Yeah.
So, and then, Tommy was living in the front
And he was still working for Poly.
Yeah.
I think when the TT Motorsports thing happened, that all fizzled out, and he wanted to like make TT Motorsports a thing. This was years after we moved here.
Yeah.
So then that's when we were in the other shop, the big shop.
Tommy actually got that shop before you started working.
God, but like weeks.
Yeah, but it was around that same time.
Yeah. Because by the time I started working for him, we were like putting up the plywood.
I don't remember why he decided to leave. What was the transfer? Was it just more space?
Oh yeah,
That was
and it was cheaper. You know, Tommy likes those deals, you know.
Yeah.
But so he moves over there. You start working for him full time, and my terrible segue that I attempted to do earlier. You're like super deep into mountain bike racing.
Yeah, so at this point, it went from being like recreationally to like what he was talking about when we were in the garage all those years ago. I have like a full suspension mountain bike. I'm racing it like the local like Southern California enduro races and stuff. I'm like really enjoying racing my mountain bike, and I'm riding a lot of 10,000 feet of climbing in like a weekend. Like we're riding constantly at this time, while helping Tommy and all the other things that I had going on.
So we go to Max. I think you said you're 3 months into working for Tommy full time.
Yeah.
We go on Max's bachelor party up to Kernville, and we're running just outstanding. And Scott and Mikey are racing down to get back to the car down this like single lane.
Yeah, it was like
road.
a paved fire road.
And you come around this blind corner. You guys are like slaloming down, and you met a old OBS Chevy.
The OBS Chevy had on at about probably 50, 55 miles an hour combined speeds.
Yeah, and so you basically were out of commission for like what, 3-4 months?
Yeah, I really messed up my knee with my forward facing knee, my left knee. It was pretty jacked up.
Yeah, that was the wheel, the carbon wheel, basically saved you, I think.
And my knee pads.
And your knee
Yeah,
pads.
I remember the first doctor that I looked at, they looked at how bad my knee was, and they're like, "How is your kneecap not shattered into like 1,000 pieces?"
Yeah.
I had knee pads on.
Yeah.
They cut them off. The medics and those. And she's like, "Well, those knee pads saved you for sure."
That was what we call a bad line, bad time.
That was rough.
That was not the bachelor party way. Not the way Max wanted that to go. None of us.
You actually living with Tommy.
Oh yeah.
So Tommy,
At this point, Tommy's still doing. He's still here.
Tommy was living in these shops
Yep.
over here, and then eventually you, Tommy, and Bush.
Yes, correct.
And someone else got a house.
Yes.
And I think at that point in time, that was around the same time.
We were on Marshall.
No,
Yeah.
Marshall, yeah, I remember that. That's when you hurt yourself.
Yeah. So then that kind of depleted me because not only was I not able to work for a couple months, the medical bills were crazy. So now I'm like pretty substantially like in debt. I start working for Tommy again for just a few more months because I was out for months. At this point, Tommy met another girl on online dating. This one happened to live in Phoenix, Arizona. He falls head over heels for her, and within the 6 weeks of meeting her, the first time, he is now signed a lease in Phoenix, Arizona for a shop. He's already like loading up the shop to move out there, and he offered me, that you can come. Like obviously, you can keep this thing going. And I just didn't have any desire to move to Phoenix. Didn't know anybody. Didn't want to move out there.
Sure. So that kind of segues into you have a choice to keep the shop open, which obviously you did, or you could have gotten another job doing something else.
Sure.
But so, what made you? I guess obviously you're at like a crossroads of your life there, trying to figure it out. But what made you like? How did the Fab why were you like, let's just make a shop of my own? What am I going to call it? How'd you come up with the Fab Lab? Like, how did all that play out?
So my key ring, my customer key ring that we still use every day, Tommy cut that key ring out years before he even started TT Motorsports. And what we used to call the Fab Lab was the garage. Like anywhere that we were working on stuff prior to working in shops, we just called it the Fab Lab. It's just whatever, like my dad's garage was called, and then it was Jesse's front yard, and then the Bonita house, like that's just what they were called.
Got it. Okay. I didn't know that, so that's cool. And so you are like, all right, well, and so you basically took over the lease that he had.
Well, I thought I was taking over the lease. Tommy, I don't think disclosed to the leasee that I was taking over, because when she realized a few months after Tommy left that Tommy wasn't there anymore, she asked me.
Got it.
It was kind of an interesting shop situation.
Sure.
Yeah, it was a shared space.
Large shared space.
Yeah, it was. Thinking about it, it was probably 20,000 square feet.
Yeah, you guys kind of sectioned off.
Yeah, that Tommy sectioned off 2,800 square feet of.
It was pretty sick. It was super sweet setup, but yeah. It's a little noisier work compared to what the cabinet shop
Right.
So
And so if I remember correctly, so you're living there. You were living there.
I was living there full time. So when I decided to start the shop, I didn't have any money. I'm still very deeply invested in medical debt. I could barely kind of hobble around at this point. My knee's still pretty jacked up. So I thought to myself, it's actually cheaper for me to stay here and try to work than it would be to stay where I was currently living.
So the house was a building.
No, that was the Marshall house where that Tommy.
So you guys all lived there, and then when Tommy moved, did you still have the Marshall house?
No, when Tommy moved, we got rid. We moved out.
Well, that's what I said. So you guys got rid of the house because you were working for Tommy.
At this time, everything was under my name.
Right.
At that house, and once Tommy was leaving, I thought to myself, I was like, "There's no way I can afford
essentially like
shop rent and
at
a
the
place to
same
live."
time Tommy left. You guys got rid of the lease because you're not only losing your roommate and that source of income there. You're like, well,
I don't even know if I'm gonna make $1.
Right. So that's when you're like, we're gonna set up an apartment. At the shop.
I besides the medical bills, which I just kept pushing off, they ended up what do you call that? Where they put you into I ended up going into collections because of all that stuff. So it doesn't matter, but I was just pushing the medical debt off at this point because all I thought to myself was I didn't have any other bills other than that. Like I think the cell phone, maybe like my healthcare, car insurance. I thought to myself, I was like, I just need to make like $2,500 a month.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I did. Is I just hustled.
Yeah. And so and obviously Tommy moves all of his tooling and all that, and
I had a old Craftsman rollaway tool cart with Craftsman and Harbor Freight tools in it, a tubing bender, chop saw, 2 angle grinders, and that was it.
Yeah. And you're like, let's go, let's figure
I
it
didn't
out.
have any tables. I built wooden fab tables at the beginning just to get by. I did anything like that to get by. I was at Harbor Freight probably once a week buying tools that I needed to complete jobs, knowing that these tools are junk, but I need them. I need them down, and I can't afford anything else.
Sure. So once the lady evicts you, you ended up moving back into this building, which was your dad's.
Yeah.
job.
So at the time, I still didn't have any money. Definitely didn't have any money for first and last, and security and all that stuff. So I was going to when I got evicted 4 months into the fab stuff, I was like, that's fine. I'll just put my stuff in a storage unit and I'll just go get a regular job. And I was telling Bruce this at the time, and Bruce was nice enough to talk to his dad. his dad gave me a little space in his mechanic shop, like 400 square feet of space to keep working, basically. And I worked there for years, just paying off medical debt, getting ahead, putting money away in savings to eventually move into the unit that we're sitting in now. So.
Yeah. So that's wild. So it's just you just kept your foot on the gas and it worked out.
I don't know any other way.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when you moved into my dad's shop, it was like crazy hours.
Oh yeah, I mean at the time I had no family. Like
I mean, you're not here.
I know, but we were married. I had no kids. I would work. If I had work, I would work 12, 14, 16-hour days. If I had to, like, the money, if the jobs were there, I would do it.
Well, I mean, we do a lot of stuff.
Tons.
My Bronco was mostly built over
I
there.
built tons of stuff over there.
Well, we did a lot.
Well, so like throughout this process, you've obviously like TT Motorsports moved, so it's not like that went away. And so, how did you like rebrand? It's not a rebrand; it's like a brand new company. Essentially, how did you like build up a client base and word of mouth forums? Was that like after? Like TR was dead.
Forums are dead. Forums are gone.
Because what
I post on Instagram, but back then I had 1,000 followers maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's just all word of
Just
mouth, and then that's
Yeah,
wild.
yeah, there's some good projects that came through. Like Mike's Toyota,
Yeah.
friends with Derek, and like it's just
Built Eric's truck over there.
maybe like good foundation to start a business.
I linked Scott's truck over there. A lot of stuff.
My dad had a lot of fab projects. Like still does to this day.
Sure.
Never-ending fab projects.
Yeah.
So
I was doing structural stuff, anything that I could.
Mikey and I we did a bunch of structural steel in the house that my dad was building, and now we was a bunch of
Crazy hours there.
Yeah, crazy hours working. Whatever we could do.
Just hustling to make it happen, and I mean it's super cool to see. Obviously you're one of my best friends, so I knew a lot of this, but just to see and be sitting in your shop that now you have all this tooling, you've got customers rolling in, you built this empire, and obviously you're still working on it. It's
never ends. The way I look at it is I'm more comfortable now in the sense of I have more things to comfortably build, customers' stuff, and stuff comes out better, and it's just kind of nature of the beast. I'm only, getting better at all this stuff, but at the same time, the want to do better, the fire is still burning hot.
Sure.
I'd say that I have personally seen your skill progress greatly just from when you were at my dad's shop here.
Of course.
Yeah, from when you were with the progression of
It's 10,000 hours. I mean, people talk about that stuff. It's like, you want to be a master at something, you got to put the 10,000
But that's
hours
also
in.
because
We're on our way there.
you also know you need to progress. You can't just be comfortable, hey, I'm
Never.
doing good enough, it's paying my bills, but it's you gotta know. You
need to be comfortable with the uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Sure. Well, and then throughout the course of you doing this now, how long is the shop? So we're talking is it 5 years now?
Started in 2018.
Okay. So, and it was, I remember you're big pre-runner guy. You're just building desert trucks and rock crawlers.
No. This guy told me he would never be interested in building cars. He only wanted to build fast desert trucks.
I've also been known to eat a lot of crow.
Yes, 100%.
But
100%.
it's because I'm very passionate.
Yeah.
That's my excuse.
Yeah.
I'm a very passionate guy, so I have very strong opinions that I won't tell everybody, but if you ask me my opinion, I will tell you.
Yeah.
So, but yes, I have very strong opinions because all this stuff that you see is very passionate.
Yeah.
So I take it very seriously.
But so where I was going with that is you kind of recently, especially, have kind of segued into some of the crawler,
Oh, yeah.
four-wheel drive. I mean, you're always working on all kinds of stuff. From a stock truck that you're putting a leveling kit on to a full
I'd
race
say a
build.
lot of the crawlers that at least the direction that Mikey and goal isn't just to build a good crawler. It's like, I'm going to build a really good crawler, but I really want it to work good in the desert. As good as it can, right? You know, so that's always...
Yeah, I mean,
It's
like
great.
I always tell like my customers if they ask, of course, is you don't want to take a vehicle so far that it's really only has one use, unless of course that's the only use that you care about, and you're like, I don't care if I can't drive it on the street, or I don't care that I can't, take it here, take it there. I'm taking it here. It's what I want it for. Great, I'll help you, I'll help you whatever you want. But the way I look at things is I've had my Bronco now for 16 years, I think. And if you ask me, I took it too far. Am I going to stop building it and upgrading it? Of course not. That don't be silly. I'm going to keep it. And it's only going to get bigger, better, faster because it's fun. I enjoy the building part of it, but I wanted something that was more moderate. I wanted something that was more universal, and that's why the Explorer kind of came to me. It's like I want something that I can drive to Moab in with my family, go exploring in, sleep in, camp out of, drive it home. And the Bronco will never be that, and I know that. I took it too far, but it's still awesome, and I'll never get rid of it.
Yeah.
I'll never stop building it.
Yeah. And it's gnarly. The Bronco, the stages that thing's gone through, all the motors, all the broken parts. I mean, there's just, we could do a whole podcast just on that thing.
Sure.
That whole.
Should write a list of all the things that I've broken and replaced. It would be very, very long list.
Yeah.
Multiple pages.
I've got like probably 5 or 6 different trips with you in the engine bay of that thing, and overheating. The Grand Canyon trip when we're on our way home, we had to stop like 8 times.
I'm pouring a quart of oil in that thing every day minimum.
The first trip I went out with you guys, I think I had my third bike and had a truck at the time, the Barstow, and they got there before me. The same earlier in the day.
Bruce, we were there for about 90 seconds
This
before I
dude
broke the
loses his
Bronco.
gas tank in the middle of the place. It's
The
just
whole
like
thing.
the whole gas tank fell out of the truck.
I was driving it so hard backwards up Main that I hit the gas tank on the ground so hard it ripped the gas tank skid plate right off the
I
back
showed
of the
up,
Bronco.
his truck's like already good to load on a trailer. I was like, I just got here.
Yeah, that's wild.
And I would have tried to fix it, but it hit the gas tank hit the ground so hard it completely changed the shape of it. It never would have fit back into the spot it came out of.
So, yeah, because you guys, your brothers are too. You guys all jumped in the one with Tommy's truck. Yeah.
Well, so as you continue to grow it, I mean, what's your plans as far as is it just to continue to kind of do the random projects, or do you have like any visions on like selling more parts or any like production things, or what's your kind of vision as far as where you see things going?
That's a good question. I like where I'm going now. I still very much enjoy doing custom fabrication. I really like building stuff that's not the norm. But with that said, I can't say that I won't change the way that the company is going in 10 years as I, get older.
Mhm.
I'm not gonna be able to do this forever. So I gotta think about like where I want this to go, and can I make it more, self-sustaining in the future and stuff like that. But no, right now I love coming to work every day. Even when it's a day where it's like a demo day where you're grinding and cutting stuff off all day.
Mhm.
Still better than working behind a computer.
Yeah, but hey, easy now. That's what I do. It sucks. But so, how do, if somebody wants to come, like, do they just call you, Instagram, email?
I get it at all three. I get a lot of emails. I get phone calls. I get people DMing me on Instagram. I'm not too prideful to try to give people as much as I can give them with the amount of time that I have. Sometimes people ask very vague questions that I try to tell people, that I understand that you don't understand or you're completely new, but you should jump on the Bad Lines Good Times forum because there's a lot to learn on there that I don't unfortunately have the time of day to teach some of these people, just because I'm trying to make a living for my family and for myself. But with that said, I think that I just think that it's great that you have the forum. I think because when the forum died for me, part of me was like, I started this business, the forum, you didn't have the forum, Desert Rangers was gone, and in my head I'm like, how are kids ever gonna learn how to do any of this stuff?
Sure.
You know, so now that the forum's back, I've noticed personally an influx of younger kids who want parts or want me to cut stuff out on the plasma table or need me to machine something for them because they're building their own projects again, and that makes me really happy.
For sure. And so, like all those different services, I mean, obviously you can build the trucks here if somebody wants to bring you their
Sure.
truck, but then you're, like you just said, you can also contact you
Sure.
to cut something out,
Absolutely.
leave things, you know, do
Cut stuff on the mill, whatever people need.
Yeah.
If we can do it, we got no problem doing it for you.
and then also parts.
Yep. We sell lots of parts, obviously for customers' builds, but sometimes we just sell parts because the kids are looking for a set of shocks or whatever. It's like if you don't know who to call or where to call, sometimes finding some of this stuff is difficult or impossible because sometimes the people don't know that things exist. Like you're trying to put a steering wheel on your truck after you fully caged it. You might need like a steering column, and it's like people don't know that there's multiple options for stuff like that depending on what your application is.
Sure.
And I can help with stuff like that. So
Well, I know a lot of people don't realize that you also rebuild trucks.
also rebuild shocks. I get a lot of shocks from Jesse's YouTube video.
Yeah, I know some people that talk to them who grandfathers. I didn't realize my rebuild trucks. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Well, again, so to regurgitate what Elliott was saying is because we're in Ventura County and I don't have other local shops that I can rely on to do, say, wiring or plumbing or shop rebuilds, tuning, stuff like that, we've kind of had to learn how to do all of it. So I can take a project from the ground up and complete it. As far as like if you need paint done, luckily I'm not a painter, but we got a paint guy. If you need gears, I have some gear guys, but if they can't get it done, we can do stuff like that.
So virtually you do everything now.
We try to do everything. I try to do as much as we can in house, just because it's just, in my opinion, we might not be the best at it, but at least we know it's getting done to a certain degree. And it's hard to rely on other people to build stuff to the quality that you're expecting.
Sure. And then you've got Jesse,
I got Jesse.
who's a wiring wizard.
He's the best.
I mean,
He's everything that I'm not, as far as like when it comes to these full builds. He can do things that I only dream of being able to do, and sometimes I can do things better than him.
Sure.
And that's okay.
Sure. And then I mean, like for myself, I mean, obviously that motor swap that I just did with the 3RZ, putting that in the 4Runner, I got the motor in, I got the wiring harness, what I thought was all good to go, fired it up, and it wasn't great. I had nothing, blew the 80 amp fuse because I had the wiring wrong, and this is right before the Rubicon. We talked about it on the Rubicon podcast, I think, but flat took the 4Runner over here, and you guys had the thing running in a day, I think.
That day.
And
I think maybe not that day because we were waiting for Off-Road Solutions to come up with that.
Yeah.
But like still, if they would have been able to help us sooner, we could have had it running by.
and it's just like super grateful. Obviously, you're a friend of mine, but it's just having that
Do it
resource.
for anybody if they
Yeah.
needed it. We had the time, so.
And it's like for somebody listening to this, you get to a point, and obviously, if you're somewhat local, and you're just like, hey, this is over my head. I mean, that's where I was at with the 4Runner. I mean,
Everybody's in there.
I'm an insurance guy at the end of the day. I'm not, I'm a pretty hack mechanic. I would say in our friend group, like our DMC, I'm probably the worst as far as turning wrenches. But I got that motor in. I did all that.
I think you did a great job. I just think that you missed a couple things
Yeah.
that were for Jesse was
Yeah,
easy to figure out.
Yeah, he absolutely handled that, and the thing's still running pretty flawlessly. Not on one of them.
I'd also like to say that, especially Jesse being here, like they do a lot of diesel stuff, which is few and far between Ventura. Jesse has a strong diesel mechanical background, so I mean,
Yeah.
diesel lover, they handle a lot of my.
We try not to advertise that too much because we don't really need the EPA up our ass, but yeah.
No, I mean, just like we're repairs and stuff.
Sure.
Like, there's a lot.
And performance, we do a lot of performance stuff too.
Yeah.
But well, right on, guys. Well, thanks for the time and scope out the Fab Lab. I'll put the website and Instagram up and phone number so you guys can blow this guy up with questions. But we'll see you on the next one. Thanks for listening.